Welcome aboard for another edition of the A Game. We are at the Bellworks Studios on the Jersey Shore in Homedale. I'm Rob Akampora, sporting two very important shirts today. One in the background, well, that does play to my guest in a way. And over here, I got to give props to my new job, Jersey's Rad Radio 95.9. The Rad is one of the new weekenders, so I'm very happy to be a part of that. So my Rad family, I hope you're paying attention because this guy, you kind of know him. And if you don't know him, there's a lot of things to talk about with him, ranging from his work with the Mets and Beer Money, ranging from, that little show called That Metal Show that was on VH1 for like a decade, and then his comedy work. He's won an Emmy. I mean, we got plenty of time to go into all of this. Don Jamieson, hello, and thanks for coming on, man.
Man, I did all that stuff?
Apparently you have. According to my note, according to this, I'm like going, you've done a lot, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I take my career advice from the late great Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, which is, they once asked him, to what do you attribute the longevity of Motorhead? And he said, if you don't give up, they can't get rid of you. So I use the same thing in the comedy and the TV business, and I'm still here. So there's something to it.
And there's definitely something to it. I will refer to the logo behind you, but I think I actually have CJ, if you can go to the photos and to the CD photo that you will see there, that's got the cover artwork, probably number three. There it is. There it is. Terrorizing Telemarketers 7, currently the #1 comedy album in America. Congratulations on that. You definitely have found you have a niche with this stuff that we're up to the 7th version of this. Does it ever get old, or is it still like, nah, we're always going to dig deeper and find another angle to really make this as outrageous as it is?
Yeah, well, I mean, the good thing is that everybody hates telemarketers.
True.
So,
yes.
And then especially in the modern age when now they've been calling your cell phone now for years and years.
Yeah.
So, anybody from 8 to 80, they hate telemarketers. They love to hear us, people, they go to work all day, they come home, they just want to sit and eat dinner with their family, the phone's ringing and it's somebody with some phone scam. Jim Florentine and I got nothing going on during the day. We're comics, so we sit around and we get revenge on those pesky people for everybody out there. And volume 7, unbelievable, man. And #1, we beat out Weird Al, so I guess that's something.
It is, because it would, most times Weird Al releases something in the comedy world that usually shoots the #1. So to dethrone him, that is actually a really big deal.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I got huge respect for Weird Al. So, I think it's it was the right time. Also, Jim and I during the lockdown were talking, and I go, man, there's so much negativity in the world and all this stuff. I don't know if I can mess with telemarketers right now. And he goes, they're telemarketers. I go, yeah, you're right. And, we got, we weren't getting on stage anywhere. The world was locked down. So, they kept calling. Apparently telemarketers are essential workers, and definitely essential for us to make an album.
There you go. I'm going to give a sample of your work in a second, but you brought up something being locked down during the pandemic. How difficult was that as a comic who basically you live for the stage work at this stage of your life, and being out there, getting that interaction and not having it, and for that matter, not having a little bit of money coming? How did you deal with that personally?
Well, all right, I'll give you both. The money coming in thing was crazy because I released my last stand-up album in February of 2020, and I was supposed to go to Europe and the UK for the first time as a comic, and obviously was really excited, and so I did a ton of press overseas, and my album got really good reviews and everything, and of course I did a ton of press here in the States. And when the world shut down 3 weeks later, I was like, oh, what a terrible time to put out an album. But then it turned out it ended up being a great time because I did so much press for it. It sold really well. And so the residual checks came in. They kept me afloat money-wise.
Right.
But mentally, yeah, man, I was a mess. I mean, after 4 months of not being on stage, I would go down in the middle of the week and spend like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with my parents. They're elderly. I wanted to keep my eye on them. Right. And after a couple of months, my mom's like, you got to get on stage. You're just way too angry when you're not working, because I would walk in the door and just start ranting and raving about stuff. When I have a stage, I can go, I go yell at the crowd for 45 minutes and then I'm good,
So there is something very therapeutic about what you do. It's like going, you know what? This keeps me sane. Thank you, audience. You're really helping me. It's a wonderful thing.
I used to joke around all the time. I say, it's not about how much money you make in comedy. It's how much you save on therapy. And it's totally true.
I'm the same way with radio. Without radio, I'm like going, having the creative outlet. There's something to be said about having, if you're an artist, whatever the art is, whether it's music, it's comedy, or it's the media, having that outlet definitely keeps you somewhat sane.
Yeah, and congrats on the Rat gig. You know, I love all those cats down there, man. And, you know, I'm a Jersey Shore guy, so I listen to the Rat. I've been on there a bunch of times, and that's cool. That's a great gig.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be a part of it. And I definitely got to bring up one of the people later on in the podcast, because he specifically said, I think he's got a story on me. I'm like, okay, so I will get to that. But since we are talking about the #1 album too, I want to give a sample of what it is to be a terrorizing telemarketer that, you know, Don and Jim do here. Now, this is going back to the 5th album, and this is a video. This is where you're playing a guy. Basically, I should set it up. Animated. You're interrupting the phone call as somebody who is working for the telephone company, and you're out on the pole, and you suddenly interject yourself into this phone call.
Yeah, and I don't like what I'm hearing, so I threaten to cut the line off from outside up on the pole. So, yeah, it's all theater of the mind. So, yeah, let it rip.
Let it rip. Give you a sample. So this is Terrorizing Telemarketers. Check it out. My guest, of course, is Don Jamieson here on the A Game. Let's take a look.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Is this James?
Yeah.
Okay, what can I help you with?
Just looking to get out a credit card debt, probably about like $30,000. Hello?
Hi, this is Steve from the phone company. I'm working on the line outside your apartment. I should be done soon. Sorry for the intrusion.
I never heard that before.
I know.
You just barge in a call like that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the guy's too educated.
We want you enroll in this program because here we have fees. It's 15%.
James, you know, I know a place right here in Jersey that has it for 5%. So I could, if you want, I could hook you up with them.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of crap is that?
Yeah, I mean...
You know, I heard the pitch, and, you know, a friend of mine did that, and, you know, they never fixed his credit report, so I would get the name of the company.
What is the name of the company, sir? Just...
Okay, it's credit.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that scammed my friend.
Oh.
This guy's feeding you a bunch of garbage. Please stay out of our conversation. What you're doing is totally illegal, because the next time I talk to you, you're not going to like the way I come across on the phone with you, all right?
You know, I'm trying to fix the line, but I don't like what I'm hearing, so I think if you don't go with my guy, I'll just disconnect your line.
You can't cut the line, because I could just call the phone company up and say...
I am the phone company.
Well, if somebody was working on my telephone line and he just did this, I would have been outside with a baseball bat, breaking his kneecaps and probably taking a ladder from underneath him.
Ridiculous.
But that's what it's all about. It's funny. We all can understand it. There is an appeal to it, and I think it's just a great example of what you do with this.
I thank you. People still come up to me, and they'll come up to me and they'll get in my face and they'll go, "I am the phone company."
Well, that you know what? It's funny because I'm looking on YouTube, and you have so many people that are just saying that as the line. I am the phone company.
Yeah, there's another teaser animation for the new album for a track called Solar Panels, which is kind of a similar concept, because I noticed like this time around, every telemarketer that called, you know, they said their name, the company, and then they would say, and I'm calling you on a recorded line. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that, and I said to Jim, I go, well, that means somebody's supervising the line, right?
Right. So
then in the Solar Panels call where this guy wants to sell Jim those solar panels for the house, I keep cutting in as his supervisor, and he has no idea that the line's being recorded. So, you know, he goes, "That's not on my end," and he's yelling at Jim, and you know, he was just like, "I need the address so I could see how the sun lies on your roof." And I cut in on the line. I go, "Leonard, we don't say rough at this company. It's pronounced roof." And I just keep cutting in every time he tries to pitch Jim, and then finally at the end, I just fire him.
This is great stuff. Go get the album, download it, buy it, however you want to do it. Once again, it is the #1 comedy album in the country, Terrorizing Telemarketers 7. Thanks to Jim Florentine, my guest Don Jamieson, who's here on the A Game. You may recognize him from a little show. I think photo #1 it is CJ. Yeah, it only lasted, quite some time, about 8 years, 127 episodes. Hell of a run for that metal show. Was there ever a thought that you were like, we'll do about 5 episodes and then we're just going to disappear? Did you ever imagine 127 of this?
Rob, I thought one episode. When I saw the pilot that we did, I go, it's so bad. There's no way they're going to put this on television. And it was good because then I kept dooming us after every season. I go, oh, that's definitely the last one. They're not going to renew us. And then the 14th season, the last one, we got to the end. I go, all right, I finally give in. I'm not going to doom us anymore. We're definitely getting picked up again. But then that was the last season.
Right. So. But that was a network thing across the globe, if I remember correctly. This was one. The network was changing hands or just changing focus or something like that. Yeah,
when VH1 Classic, because a lot of people still think we were on VH1. I go, no, we're in VH1 Classic, which is like the Stephen Baldwin of TV networks. So yeah, they took the whole channel off. So you got to give us credit. We know how to get a show canceled, man. We take down the whole network with us.
Yeah, if we're going out, we're taking everybody out with us, and we did it. Damn it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guests. I mean, it was a combination of things. It was the guest. It was the humor. And look, Eddie Trunk, God bless him. One of the on my Mount Rushmore of guys in radio who are just like musicologists. Matt Pinfield and Eddie Trunk are like top 2, without a doubt.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're an East Coaster, Yes. I went to college with Matt Pinfield, believe it or not. He's always looked like he looks now.
Yes, it's true.
When he was 18, he was already 47. So, but he's so brilliant. Like he can pull things out of midair that you couldn't imagine. And, obviously Eddie the same. And that was one of the big segments on the show was Stump the Trump.
Yes.
Where people in the crowd and then sometimes just visiting rock stars who, came and hung out would try to stump Eddie Trunk. And so that one was always fun. And people would be like, does he really he gets so angry when he misses one. Is that like real or is he putting it on? I go, no. I go, trust me. First of all, he doesn't like to miss them. But what you're not seeing is us in our dressing room for 2 hours before the taping, me and Florentine, and we're cutting gassers on him and locking him in the dressing room. And we're just needling him the whole time. And, so by the time he gets out there, he's totally raw.
Right. Oh, man. I miss the show. I really do. And one guest I would think stands out maybe for you more than others because when Lars Ulrich, I think at one point in your career did introduce you doing a comedy, when you were doing comedy, he introduced you on stage. So I would imagine Lars may have a special place as far as guests go in the whole 127 episode run.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Lars and Kirk both, did the show a couple times each.
Right.
And when Metallica did their Orion Fest in 2012 down in Atlantic City, like on one night they played the Black Album in its entirety. On the next night they played Ride the Lightning, and they had a comedy stage, and they handpicked myself, Jim Florentine, and Jim Brewer to do the comedy stage. And that's nerve-wracking enough. You got to go up in front of thousands of Metallica fans and tell jokes for a half hour. But then here comes Lars on a golf cart, and I'm like, what are you doing down here? He's like, I'm going to introduce you. I'm like, I was already nervous enough.
Right.
But it was good because he that's the cool thing about those guys. Like, they were so hands-on. They didn't just, hang backstage and not, interact with people, man. They were always down introducing bands and comics.
Right.
And it was such a killer experience. James Hetfield walked up. It was funny. I finally took a breath after like 10 minutes because I was like, okay, I got this, And I told a joke, I got a big laugh, and then a huge applause. And in my mind, I'm going, that wasn't that good of a joke to get a huge applause.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got cocky. I threw my hands up. I'm like, that's right. But then I look over and I see James Hetfield that walked on the side of the stage and was sitting on an amp watching. And I go, oh, that was for him? All right. Fair enough, man. But
I've been humbled. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I had to keep peeking out of the corner of my eye to see if he was laughing. And he said some very nice things to me afterwards. And I mean, that's a dream come true. The biggest metal band in the world has you come play their festival. So,
yeah, I would think at this stage of it, after doing that, then doing a stand-up routine, if you're opening for a hard rock or metal act, it becomes maybe like, okay, I've experienced about as much nerves as I could just having Metallica introduce me. Everything else should be no problem from here.
Well, related to that is what I always try to explain to people about the comedy world, and this is showbiz in general, because musicians go through this too. But it's just like, I opened for Metallica on a Saturday.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Giant festival, thousands and thousands of people. Lars Ulrich introduced me. James Hetfield watches from the side of the stage. The following Thursday, I played a pizza place in North Jersey.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my God. That really does it kind of puts it in perspective. It's like you could be doing this up here, and then a week later you're kind of like, hey, thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. Try the pepperoni.
Yeah, exactly. Try the garlic knots.
The garlic knots, yes, of course. Go for the knots.
Fantastic here. But I took the gig, before the Orion Fest, and I'm loyal. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And you know what? I gave the same amount of effort at the pizza place that I did at the festival. So, but that's show business in a nutshell, man. One day you're way up here, and the next day, you're down here trying not to back into the pizza oven.
Well, I'm going to plug one gig that is going to be coming up later this year, and it does tie into that metal show, too. December 23rd, Dingbats in Clifton. It's that metal show holiday bash that's going to be happening. Obviously, a reunion of the three of you, some cool bands. And will you be doing stand-up on that show?
No, that one we usually, we just host the night.
Okay.
We'll be cracking jokes and stuff all night. But it's really just a party, man. So when people come down, and we just, we hang out in the crowd with everybody. And, we've been doing it there for, man, probably almost 10 years now.
Great.
And, we love supporting Dingbats and, all the Jersey rock clubs for sure. But, Freddie and those guys have been great to us. So, yeah, we have a good time. We get these great cover bands. So you're going to hear, you're going to hear Sabbath and stuff. You're going to hear Pantera. You're going to hear, all the songs you love by some really cool cover bands. Right. So come on down and we'll hang and have some drinks. And
nice.
And make sure you come with a stump the trunk question, because there's nothing he loves more than people coming up to him all night stumping him.
There you go. Speaking of cover bands, I think I've got this date right. November 26th, you'll be opening for Almost Queen up in Westbury, right?
Yeah, well, that was, spinoff of that metal show was, starting to go out and open for bands.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. It started with Dee Snider, with Twisted Sister, and then Metallica. And I've been, going out on the road for like 10 years now, touring with bands on a tour bus and all that stuff. And it's just been amazing. I do a whole separate act just for that. I have a whole just music act.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
For the bands. And I've been a huge fan. If people love the band Queen, Almost Queen that's as good as you're gonna get. And we've been talking about doing a show together for a long time. So yeah, we'll be out at I don't know what it's called. It's the Westbury. I call it the Westbury Music Fair.
It was the Westbury Music, yeah, exactly. Now it's the NYCB Theater. But growing up around here, we always knew it was the Westbury Music. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll never say any of those corporate names.
So in other words, down on the Jersey Shore, it's the Garden State Arts Center, right?
It's still the Arts Center.
There you
absolutely.
go. Enough said. And you were saying you have an act that's geared more toward rock. I've got a sample of that. CJ, if you can get the video ready. This clip, it's about a minute sample, and I think it's a fun sample. And the interesting part of it is you've had Kip Winger on that metal show. So it is sort of a but I'll let the video play for itself. But when you listen to it and really understand one of the songs by Winger, it's hauntingly making a point, and you laugh along with it. Check it out right now.
And I'll say this also, man, whatever kind of hard rock or metal or rock or even any music, if there's fans of other music here, just embrace it, right? You got to embrace whatever you like. If you like hair metal, if you like doom metal, if you like stoner metal, thrash metal, black metal, death metal, Norwegian, church burning, symphonic, gender fluid, country and western metal. Just love it. I'll say this right here, and I don't care who knows it. I love the band Winger. That's right. I love the band Winger. You know why? Because they had a hit song called She's Only 17. When you can have a #1 song about being a pedophile, that's a crazy fucking band right there. Kip Winger is the original R. Kelly. That's all I'm saying. I call him R. Winger when I see him.
You had to go there. I love it. But there's the irony. It's like we look back on that song, And it was all over the radio, and it crossed into pop. I remember like Z100 in New York, the pop station, was playing 17. So, I mean, it was a monster hit. But you look at it maybe today in 2022 and go, yeah, this song probably doesn't happen.
No chance.
No.
And that's funny. I improvised that joke when I first told it, because I was, I go on these Monsters of Rock cruises.
Yeah.
Big cruises. Myself, Eddie, and Jim from That Metal Show, we host all the cruises, and we usually do a stand-up show. And, a lot of the artists come down, and, we've known Kip for a long time. And I said, hey, man, come down for the comedy show. And he did come down. And as he came down, he watched me for like 10 minutes. He started walking out. And that's when I was like, oh, he's going to walk out on me. So I just improvised that off the top of my head. And I forgot that I did it. And a buddy of mine, like a few days later, was like, you got to keep that in your act, man. That was really funny. I go, oh, shoot, what did I say? I can't remember. So he told it back to me. And then I just polished it off a little bit. So, and then I put that on my last record. But no, he loved it.
Oh,
he turned around when he heard his name, and he took it like a man.
So it does sound like the community has a real good sense of humor. They know your comedy, and it's almost like they take it. Hey, look, if he wants to poke fun of me, that's a compliment. They'll take it as a compliment more than it is really a diss. Because if you're using their name and using it in your routine, they take it the right way. Kind of go, well, he thought enough of me to do it.
Metalheads in general, I'm not saying all of them, but most of them don't take themselves that seriously. They do have a great sense of humor. And I would never, do jokes about a band that I didn't really like,
right.
So for me, it comes from the heart. So I have rock jokes on all my albums. No one's like, been butthurt by it or any of that stuff. So I've been lucky, but, usually, like, again, when I go out with the rock bands, I stick to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you come see me in a nightclub, though, I'm going to talk about everything. I'm going to talk about, social stuff, politics, my life, relationships, all that stuff. So, but it's nice to have that. If you have some rockers in the crowd, you have a couple go-tos.
Definitely. And to speak of the stuff that you've released on your own, how did you hook up with Metal Blade Records? I mean, that's a unique combination, because I think of Metal Blade, I remember the bands that were on there, including at least one pop band that got their start on Metal Blade, and obviously they became a little different. But they had a reputation of what they were going to release, and I just don't think of comedy when I think of Metal Blade. And they've been around, they just celebrated their 40th anniversary recently, didn't they not?
Yeah, I was just in fact, I just got in this morning from Vegas, because they're pretty much based out of Vegas now, and went out and hosted an event for their, this is their 40th year in business. So yeah, for me, Brian Slagle, the owner, was and still is one of my musical heroes, because I remember getting the old Metal Blade compilations on, actually I got one right here on vinyl.
Look at this.
The very first one ever put out, Metal Massacre.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. For anybody that loves metal, that is a collector's item. That really is. So this is the reissue that they just put out, but I also have the original one from what was it, 1982 or 81, and you could see down there, Metallica, Hit the Lights. The very first recorded song by Metallica was with Metal Blade on this album, and on the original pressing, Metallica is misspelled. It's got 2 T's and 2 L's on it. So, Brian is and Metal Blade have, just brought me so much, great musical joy over the years. And then I was out on the road opening for a band of theirs, and Brian came down and he saw me opening for the super heavy band, and he's like, man, I don't know if you have a whole album's worth of material, but I love what you're doing, and if you ever want to do an album. I thought he was kidding. I mean, I thought maybe had a little too much to drink. I got carried away. So I never answered him. I just went on, just finished out the rest of the tour. And then like a year later, he hired me to play a convention thing that he was part of. And he picked me up at the airport and he goes, you never got back to me about the record deal. I go, oh, you were serious? Yeah, that's how you know that moment where it's like, wait a minute, this is real? Hold it.
Yeah, I go, well, what were you thinking? And in under 5 minutes, we had a record deal. And yeah, it's awesome, man. I love the bands on that label, and yeah, it's the right combo for me, to put my records out with those guys.
Yeah.
Plus, they got bands like Cannibal Corpse. Slayer was on there for years, 6 Feet Under. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to ask me to censor my stuff.
You got a point there. Yeah, that kind of like going, yeah, just let it rip. Go ahead, Don. Just have fun with it. We'll take care of it from here. That's a good freedom to have, definitely. Don Jamieson also has a little thing. I believe I've got the photo there. It's called that Jamieson Show. If you see it up there, CJ, please put the photo up. I think you can't see that well, can you? That's the problem about getting older. Yeah. You can't see well.
Can CJ?
Yeah. I think you were there, CJ. Number 4, maybe. I think it's number 4. There you go. Yeah. And that launched in 2019. Was this a result of the pandemic, Don, or did you get this going a little bit before then?
Well, I wanted to, again, I like the pairings of different things. I like, if I'm going to do something, everyone, you got to do a podcast, you got to do a webcast, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I want to, you're in business with Ming and all those guys over there. That's a great combo, right?
Right.
So I wanted to do it somewhere, again, that was going to let me do what I wanted to do creatively and not be looking over my shoulder. And obviously, in tribute to that metal show, I call it that Jamieson Show. So,
perfect.
It's me interviewing rock stars every week on Compound Media. And it's been great. I mean, there are 3 years. I've had 7 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, on the shows over the time. And, I'm sort of like Tony Iommi when Black Sabbath had like those 50 singers like in the middle between like Ozzy and Ronnie James Dio. And then Ronnie came back and then there was 3 more and then Ozzy finally came back. And you'd sit home going like, why is he doing this? Why? It's just, don't do that to the name Black Sabbath. But then it turned out it was good because then, Ozzy did come back. So I'm sort of keeping that metal show thing out there in the universe. So just in case it ever does, you never know.
I want to bring up one guest because I would have thought this was probably an interesting minefield to dodge. And it actually is the most viewed episode that you've had. Interviewing Nugent, who we know, Ted these days can be a little crazy. He was crazy when he was younger. But now, now that he's done talk shows and he is who he is at this point, when you went in with that interview, were you just kind of sitting there going, I'll just let Ted be Ted and we'll see where it goes? Or were you kind of sitting there going, all right, I'm not sure where this will go, but I know Ted enough that I think I can handle it?
It was really, I think the only thing that Jim and Eddie and I discussed was like, let's try to keep it as much to music as we can.
Well said.
Because you're talking about a guy, with a 50-year music career. So, and I think we did a pretty good job with that. But that said, I mean, it really is. You're just holding on to the rudder because once you say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Ted Nugent, he's off. Mm-hmm. He's off to the races. And so you're just trying to keep the boat on course as much as possible. And I always tell people, I've gotten to know Ted very well over the years now. And I always say, I hate to ruin his street cred, but he really is a sweet, nice guy.
That's what I've heard.
But he's Ted. He's outrageous.
Yes, no question. And that, by the way, that episode is approaching 100,000 views, by the way. So definitely check it out. You can find it on YouTube. He's 85, if I'm not mistaken, 85 episodes in, and hopefully more to come.
Yeah, and when people ask me who are some of your favorite guests, and now personally, Lemmy because he's my hero,
of course.
Alice Cooper, Brian Johnson, those are my personal ones.
Right.
But the ones, if you're making a television show, in radio, who's your best guest? The one that people are going to tune in, whether they like them or they hate them.
Very true.
And you just made that point perfectly. Ted Nugent is the most viewed episode because love him or hate him, you got to hear what he's got to say. Exactly. When we have Dave Mustaine on from Megadeth or Phil Anselmo, these are guys who are unfiltered, uncensored, and you have to tune in to see. If you don't like them, you want to tune in and go, yeah, okay, that's why I don't like them. And if you like them, then it's all good. But those guys, in terms of making a television show, were my favorite guests.
Good stuff. Don Jamieson's here on the A Game. Okay, up to the point where I do random shots. These are questions that usually come from anywhere, but I do have a distinct theme, and it's going to be 2 themes going on, but tradition has me, I got to take a random shot before I start random shots. I would like to thank Ming for the 1792 small batch that he has. Don't worry, I'll clean the glass. Cheers to you. Thanks for coming on, Don. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. I'm going a little lighter because I was just in Vegas, but.
Oh, well, hey, look, I can only imagine because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I can just imagine what was going on there.
Yeah, my liver stayed there.
And you'll visit it on occasion, maybe in the future. There you go.
Yeah, I have visitation, so. Yeah.
Okay. First random shot, I'm going to call this Lyrics on the Loose. I've got 4 songs. Let me give you some of the lyrics to them. Yes, they were from the hair metal era, except for one, and you'll understand the one when we get to it. But let's see your knowledge. I mean, I don't have any trunk to stump, but I know you are knowledgeable, so let's see where we can go with this. First lyric, we think that you should be taught some manners. Manners. Give me the artist of the song, either one.
Wow. I mean, we might have to zoom Eddie Trunk in.
Eddie, you're a lifeline. Come on in.
What metal band could actually have a song preaching about manners? I can't, is Martha Stewart in a metal band? I don't know.
You know what? When I say who the band is, you're going to sit there and go, Rob, that's not metal. Sorry, it's not. But they were considered a hair band at the beginning of their career.
At the beginning of their career.
Yeah. They wound up having a couple of pop hits.
Well, the first person that is Cinderella comes to mind. But am I close? No. Kind
of. I'll give it to you on this one, but this was a tough one. The song was Kid Ego, the band Extreme.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. Well, but that is a good point. Like bands like Extreme and Cinderella.
Yeah.
Kind of got lumped into that. Tesla even got lumped into the hair metal thing somehow, even though they were way closer to Aerosmith,
right?
Than Poison. So, all right, that's a good one. Eddie would have got that one.
I think Eddie would, and I think Eddie would get this one. And for whatever reason, I actually really like this song. I know you really want to do me. You know, I'd like to see you try.
You try.
Yeah,
Smooth up in you, Bullet Boy.
There it is. As soon as you started singing it the same way, he's got this. One for you. All right, here we go. Third one. I said stay, but you turned away. Now I'm here and I've lost my way.
White Lion?
Not White Lion. And I look at this band and I kind of go, they kind of were not really, they became lumped in the hair band, but before they became a hair band, they actually had some decent stuff. Dokken, Alone Again.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Now, this one is not a hair band, but you'll understand the logic when I did this. So I don't expect you to get it, but I'll give you the lyrics to the song. Oh, here you are. There's nothing left to say. You're not supposed to be that way. I will give you the hint. They were on Metal Blade at one point, and that's the reason I put them on there.
Okay, give it to me one more time.
Oh, here you are. There's nothing left to say. You're not supposed to be that way. They eventually went on Warner Brothers.
The Goo Goo Dolls.
There you go. I knew you'd get it. Long way down from the last release they had on Metal Blade, and then Warner Brothers scooped them up from there. That's still a great story. I mean, I hope Metal Blade did make a little bit of money off of Name. I would think they did.
They're still making money off of the Goo Goo Dolls.
There you go. I thought so.
It's amazing. They're a part of the history, and yes, Brian made a very good deal to let go of them and let Warner Brothers take them over. So they were definitely more of a punk band, I guess, at the beginning.
At the beginning, absolutely.
Yeah, more of like a Foo Fighters sounding thing, and then you write a ballad, it becomes big. MTV is there, and next thing you know.
Yeah, as Johnny Resnick said, once Name hit, he's like, we're no longer in the garage anymore. And they literally embraced it, and they went to that point, and the rest is history. Now, I need to tap into your other side. You were the co-host of Beer Money for that little New York. Yeah, CJ, who's my producer, is a big Mets fan. So am I. We saw you on SNY. I mean, it seemed like a fun gig. But I'm going to see about your Mets knowledge. You dished out Mets questions to everybody. Time you take a few. This is going to go bad. I can see that already. All right. 4 questions from the Mets. Start with this. 1977, Dave Kingman, who played on the Mets that year, also played on 3 other teams, the rare 4 teams in one season. Can you name 2 of the other teams he played for that year?
Oakland?
No, not Oakland. He did play for Oakland later on, but not in 77.
Cincinnati?
No. Yeah, CJ's like going, I would have guessed Oakland. I said, yeah, he finished his career in Oakland, but not the 77 season.
Was he on the Rangers?
No.
All right.
Yankees, Padres, and Angels. What? Yeah, I think he played about 10 games for the Yankees that year, and then he got released, wound up on the Angels. But when the Mets released him in 77, he started with San Diego and then crossed in the American League.
See, when it was a lot easier when I had the answers.
Oh, of course. CJ, you can be the lifeline on this one if you know it, because this is going to be one of those. Met fans will know this. Although he only pitched 6 games for the 86 world champion Mets, he wound up winning 11 in 1987. Once pitched a 10-inning one-hitter for the New York Mets back in 1982. Name the sidearm pitcher I'm talking about.
Ooh. No, I'm wrong.
Oh, boy.
I'm wrong. I had
sidearm pitcher.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Man. It's a tough one.
I'm tanking here, man.
CJ, put on your mic if you want to take
it. Is it Terry Leach?
It is Terry Leach. Woo! Very good.
The only thing I could think of was Kent Tekulve, but he played for the Pirates.
He played for the Pirates, but that's what Terry Leach did. He threw exactly like Kent Tekulve. That was his calling card. All right, these two you probably will get. When we all know that the Mets had some awful trades over the years, but their fortunes turned when they acquired Keith Hernandez. What pitcher did the Mets give up to get Keith Hernandez?
Wow, that's a good question. Holy crap.
So they traded to St. Louis for Keith.
Right, and he was a pronounced pitcher for this team, was a reliever at one point, even started at one point.
Holy moly.
Oh, yeah. People watching this are going, how does the guy get a job in metal and sports? He doesn't know anything.
They're hard.
You're a comedian. You don't have to know this stuff, but I just thought, what the heck?
Yeah, I know. I wish I had a better showing here. I know I've heard this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm tanking.
No problem. CJ, you're going to kick yourself. Neil Allen, who was
I was like 5.
Stay away then. Stay away. All right. This is a more modern question. What pitcher pitched the last out of the 2006 National League Championship Series when Carlos Beltran struck out?
And that was against St. Louis, right?
Yeah, right.
I'll certainly never forget that moment.
That's the thing. A lot of people forget the pitcher. I think he's actually still pitching for the Cardinals.
Adam Wainwright?
Bingo. There you go. Adam Wainwright.
All right.
Who came out of the bullpen. We were all like, what's he doing in the bullpen? And he's coming out like, oh, crap.
Oh, yeah. That moment wrecked me. I can't even talk about it. So let's move on.
I will ask one question then. Have you forgiven Beltran to this day?
No.
Thank you. That's all I need to hear. Thank you.
And I never will.
All right.
Even that dumb mole on his face. You're not Lemmy.
A couple of personal questions I'm going to bring up here.
By the way, we're still paying Bobby Bonilla, right? So
yeah. Hey, look, man. At least the owners.
The Goo Goo Dolls trade. Both people are still getting paid.
There you go. Metal Blade and Bobby Bonilla. What a winning combination. I love it. Give me photo number 8. This is a personal thing. This comes in from Mike Ferrantino, who's a friend of mine. Tell Don I said hello. We went to high school together. We're briefly in a band together as well. First off, I should emphasize that Mike Ferrantino's band Love in Reverse has just released a new album. They'll be on my podcast next month. He's been on my podcast before. But I'm just trying to picture you, because I know Mike's style. I know Andres' style. I'm like, how did this come about? Because I'm like trying to mesh. Mike's a musical genius, in my opinion. And I know he can do any kind of music. But what he wound up doing was a little bit darker, ethereal, not necessarily metal, not necessarily rock, but definitely, as I always say, they're ahead of the curve. So how did you try to mesh with them? I mean, obviously you were friends.
Yeah, we were 15 in high school. So, I bought a guitar and took some lessons, and then, you end up hanging out with the kids in your high school that play. And we had a band called Beautiful Dreamer.
Oh, wow. I didn't know the name. See this?
Yeah.
Nice.
And, it was a great time. We had a blast. And, but, I got to a point, with the guitar where I peaked.
Right.
You know, where I was just like, or in other words, I just didn't have the passion to go farther with it. I still pick up my guitars and play, but I just knew I wasn't going to have the drive that Mike and Andres did. So, you know, I went to college. Those guys went on, you know, to form different bands, and I still keep up with all the stuff they're doing. I mean, I love all the Falling, Love in Reverse and all that stuff. Yeah. It's great shit. So I'm glad that he's still doing it. And as soon as we get done here, I'll download the new record.
You better. You should. There's some great stuff on there. There really is. Another personal thing, CJ, there is a photo. There's a group shot of people in here. The reason I want this up is because in this photo, 2 people have been on my podcast. Now they're done. Now there's 3. If you look in the back of this photo, there's this smiling bald guy who happens to be a WWE Hall of Fame wrestler by the name of Bully Ray Dudley. You may have heard of him. And the other smiling guy on the right, well, that's Tommy Janarone, the entrepreneur lawyer who's been on here and very happily came on to say, I'm going to get more hits on your podcast than Bully Ray did. And wouldn't you know it, he did. And I'm guessing that's Bar A you're hanging out with, or are you down in Ocean County at the new place in around Seaside?
You know what? I can't see the photos, so I'm not sure. Is that the one with David Bryan?
Yeah, no, that's not the one with David Bryan. I think it was a friend of yours or somebody took the photo, but you're in the photo, Janarone's in the photo, and Bully Ray is in the photo. And I think Jim's in that photo too in the back. Oh, maybe that might have been going. We went to Ozfest on a party bus together one year. Oh boy, yeah. When you know Janarone and you know Mark. Yeah. Yes, I know Mongo very well. Thank you.
Yeah, when you party with Mongo and Janarone, yeah, that's like you got to go into training for like a month before. If you're going to go on a party bus with those guys. And yeah, it was everything you could imagine. It was complete debauchery and tons of fun. But yeah, I love those guys. You know, the Janarone. I did my first comedy album at Bar A.
I didn't realize that. Oh, please elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, I try to do all my albums in different places, you know, because I'm like, I know I'm not the best comic. So I want to at least put a stamp on the album in terms of the atmosphere. Yeah. You know, so in my first instinct, it's like, yeah, let me do it in like a club that has bands, that has rock bands playing there all the time. Obviously, I was friends with Tommy, so we set it up. I did it there. I was totally happy with the way it came out. You know, Bumblefoot from Guns N' Roses came down and played the intro live on stage, and so we made it a whole event. And I try to do that, like I said, with all my records, so that, you know, you get sort of the vibe of wherever I'm doing it. You know, I did another one at Uncle Vinny's in Point Pleasant.
Yeah, and that's become a major establishment on the Jersey Shore. And you look at the list of people that have been through Uncle Vinny's. I mean, it's a hell of a list that has gone through there as far as comedy.
Yeah, and it's a BYOB club. It's right by the beach, so people like wheel coolers in. They just came off the beach, and we own coolers full of beer and giant bottles of wine. And like during the taping, like a woman knocked a wine bottle off the table and it clanked across the floor. And my editor was like, "Oh, don't worry, I can get that out." I go, "Don't you dare! I want all that stuff in there." You know, I wanted to have that Jersey Shore, you know, rowdy, you know, beach crowd vibe. So. Yeah, I was, you know, I want to do my next album in an outhouse.
Really? Okay. Why there? Why are you thinking there?
Because I know a guy who has a farm, and he has a big old log cabin that looks straight out of a horror film, and then right behind it he has a little wooden outhouse. And if they could wire that up for sound, I'm going to do that.
I'm there. Pencil me in. I'm in on that.
You have to stand in the woods.
You know what? That would make it unique. I'm down with this. One more question, only because I was told, because I was telling some people at the Rat, hey, by the way, you know, I have this podcast. I got Don J. Send us the copy of the video. We'll put it up on the Facebook page. I'm like, I appreciate that. But one guy in particular, if you've hung out with Janarone and you've hung out with Mongo, you've hung out with Gotts. And Gotts is like, he's got a story. Just prompt him. He'll probably tell it.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know which one.
I'm sure you got more than one. I mean, we're talking about our boy Gotts here, please.
Right. Oh boy. I don't, you know what? I just out of respect for, you know, I don't know how much people want out there in the world, but needless to say, he's a lot of fun.
Yes.
And a great dude, and obviously such a great supporter of bands. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. But yeah, there's been some, there might have been some possible public nudity and things like that. But
why am I not shocked? Why am I not shocked by this at all?
We'll let him tell those stories.
You know what? We'll have to do it over a couple of drinks at some point. All right, let me get photo number 3 up here one more time so we can give the album one more time. It's the #1 comedy album in America right now, Terrorizing Telemarketers 7. This is Don Jamieson and Jim Florentine's recent project. Go get it. Laugh your ass off and have some fun at the expense of some telemarketers. Yeah, like you've got a problem with that. And Don, I look forward to spending some more time with you in the future. Thank you so much for taking the time out and doing this. Had a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. You made it very easy, and my best to Ming and CJ. And yeah, I'm surprised we've never run into each other now that we all know the same crew.
It's crazy. I was thinking about that myself. I'm like, I know we know a lot, at least a dozen or 2 dozen people, same crew, same crowds, and our crowds never really meshed until like recently. And I'll give thanks to Rich Robinson for putting us together on this. Rich programs WBJB 90.5 The Night and does a really good job with that college radio station, without a doubt.
What time's your show on the Rad?
Right now they got me on the overnights, which is fine by me. But I mean, I know that it'll be some more stuff coming soon. So right now I'm just happy to be like, I've been off the air for 3 years. It's just like, yes, I remember these buttons. I remember this mic. I actually know. Yeah, I think I know what I'm doing. Okay, fine. I can do it.
Well, good. I'm a night owl, so I'll be listening.
Oh, I will look forward to getting your props on this. I thank you again.
You got it, man.
Thanks to Don Jamieson for coming on. That's a wrap for the A Game. We'll be back again next week. Hey, listen, if you like what's going on here, follow me on my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page, A Game with Rob Akampora, and I guarantee you, great guests like Don Jamieson will be coming forth over the next few months. Until next time, take care. Enjoy the rest of your week ahead.